So I wonder if hopelessness and boredom, if they are, like, how closely are they related? Now, might be they're fairly distant cousins, if they're cousins at all. I don't know for sure. Boredom I've heard defined as confinement and predictability. So you're locked into something and you know you're going to be, or you anticipate that you will continue to be locked into that thing, and that is boredom. The opposite of that would be uncertainty or unpredictability and options, I guess. So when it comes to hopelessness, I'm sure there are various forms of hopelessness, but I suspect that in general that both of those things are a component of hopelessness. So feeling that you can predict a negative outcome, I guess, essentially, I think is what hopelessness would be. And so it's both predictable and you're confined to this negative outcome, or this bad outcome, basically. So it is interesting. Now, hopelessness, I'm not implying here, by the way, that hopelessness and boredom are the same thing, same level of intensity, all of that, right? But it is interesting that it seems that they share some of the same characteristics. Now, I think boredom, of course, doesn't necessarily, how shall we say, boredom, I think, is more typically associated with more of a temporary state, right? Whereas hopelessness, while here again, hopelessness can be a very temporary state as well. You can recover from hopelessness, or you can get out of hopelessness, which I guess I'm giving you hope about getting out of hopelessness. It is still interesting that they seem to kind of share some of those same characteristics, and whether or not we get the two confused sometimes, I don't know. Could we sometimes be like, man, I just feel kind of hopeless about this, but I'm actually bored, or is it the other way around where I think, oh man, I'm so bored that actually I just feel kind of hopeless about this. I don't have a good anticipation of a positive outcome. So it is interesting. I suppose different personalities are different, but it is interesting how important it is for us to anticipate a positive outcome, for us to continue to want to engage with something. And we can eat a lot of crap if we have to on the way to a good goal, if we strongly believe that it's there and it's coming, right? Whereas if we don't believe that there's a good result coming, we can drop something very easily. In fact, maybe for no other reason, something that we don't see that's any future. Like, let's say you could be at a great job, but you believe that you're not qualified for the job, you're going to fail, and you're going to get fired. And so you could quit that job just because you've got a massive imposter syndrome thing going on. Not because the job itself, you might actually love the job. You might just feel that you're not worthy of it and essentially fire yourself instead of letting somebody else fire you. On the other hand, let's say you have a startup or something, and you might work horrible hours doing lots of boring, nasty, frustrating tasks because you strongly believe that where you're going is going to be very good. So it is interesting how our perception of the future strongly influences our behavior in the present. Now, of course, we are humans who have a bias, who also are very strongly influenced by our present. Don't get me wrong there, and our past, if we allow it to. But it is interesting how strongly our perspective, how strongly our view of the future really does influence what we're willing to invest, how we live our lives in the present.